Hello dear students, today we are going to discuss about the rest of the topic that is present in your chapter life processes, and today's topic is about the respiration. So the food material which is taken in during the process of nutrition is utilized by the cell to provide us energy. In the process of respiration, what happens, the air passage is first enters the nostrils. Inside the nostrils, what happens, there is a presence of fine hair which prevents the entry of the dust particles. In our nostrils, you will observe that there is a presence of fine hairs which prevents the entry of the dust particles, and from the nostrils the air then moves to the throat region. In the throat region, there is a presence of rings of cartilage that is present in the throat, which ensure that the air passage does not collapse within the lungs. So it is the throat particle, it is our throat, and in the throat what happens, there is a presence of ring like cartilage. It is a support, okay, and it gives support to our throat so that it prevents the collapse of the air passage does not collapse within the lungs. Further, it is divided into smaller and smaller tubes, which that is the bronchioles and bronchi, which finally terminate into a balloon like structure known as alveoli. Okay. Now alveoli is the structure where the exchange of gases takes place, and the wall of the alveoli contains an extensive network of the blood vessels. So I will now show you the diagram here. You can see, yes, it is the respiratory system of our body. Okay, this portion, it consists of the, here is the nasal passage through which the air enters, and there is a presence of fine hair particles which prevent the entry of the dust particles. Now from the nasal passage it enters to the trachea or the throat region. Okay, and this is the rings of cartilage which support and prevent the collapse of the air passage. Now the trachea further divided into smaller and smaller branches known as bronchi and bronchioles, and finally terminate into balloon like structure known as alveoli. So it is the structure of the alveoli where exchange of gases takes place. In the alveoli there is a presence of network of blood vessels, and where the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen takes place. So here is the thing, that the exchange of gases takes place in the wall of alveoli containing an extensive network of the blood vessels. Okay, the blood bring carbon dioxide from rest of the body. So from the body the blood brings in the carbon dioxide and released into the alveoli, and oxygen in the alveolar air is taken up by the blood. Okay, so deoxygenated blood is brought from all over the body, and oxygenation or oxygenated blood or the purified blood is again transported to each and every cell of our body. So when the body size of the animal is large here, okay, so simple diffusion cannot deliver the oxygen to each and every cell of our body. So there is a special pigment known as hemoglobin which carries the oxygen, and it supplies oxygen to each and every tissues, and that pigment is known as your hemoglobin. So it's all about your respirations, that the air enters through the nasal passage, moves to the trachea. There is a presence of a ring of cartilage which provides support. Then it is further branched into bronchi and bronchioles. Here you can observe it, and finally at the terminal end you will observe the alveoli, where the exchange of gases takes place. That is, carbon dioxide is taken, and in return oxygen is given to the blood, which is required for each and every tissue of our body. Now moving to the next topic is about the transportations. So blood consists of a fluid medium called plasma, in which the cells are suspended. So transportation is basically done by the blood. Okay, transportation is basically done by the blood. It carries your oxygen and other essential elements which are required for our body, and the carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste in the dissolved form. So the heart is a muscular organ. So the heart is a muscular organ which pumps blood to different parts of the body, and it is having 4 chambers. Okay, the upper 2 chambers are known as your arteria. This is the right atrium and this is the left atrium. The lower 2 chambers are known as the ventricles, that is the left ventricle and the right ventricle here. So basically there are 4 chambers. Upper 2 are known as the atria or the atrium, right atrium and the left atrium. Lower 2 are known as the ventricles, that is the right ventricle and the left ventricle. So what happens, the oxygenated blood or the purified blood enters into the left atrium or the left side of the heart. Okay, the oxygenated blood that comes from the lungs, okay, that is after purification from the alveoli, the oxygenated blood comes and enters into the left atrium through the pulmonary artery and the pulmonary vein. Okay, from the left atrium it then moves to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it then moves out through the aorta and is distributed all over the body. So heart is basically a pumping organ. The oxygenated blood, it enters to the left atrium. From the left atrium it enters to the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle it then goes to the body through the aorta. Similarly, from the body the deoxygenated blood enters into the right atrium through superior and inferior vena cava. From the upper body and from the lower body, that is the vena cava, it enters to the right side, that is the deoxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood from the right atrium it moves to the right ventricle, and from the right ventricle it then moves to the lungs for further purification, and again the circulation goes on, it comes to the left side, to the left atrium, to the left ventricle, and then goes to the body through the aorta. Okay, in cases of amphibians or reptiles, they are having a 3-chambered heart where the mixing of the blood takes place. In cases of mammals, what happens, there is a presence of a septum or separations. Okay, that is the atrium and the ventricles are separated by septum, whereas in cases of amphibians, what happens, there is a mixing of the blood. Okay, whereas in cases of amphibians there is a mixing of the blood, as there is a mixing of the blood, okay, as they are having a 3-chambered heart. So the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood, they get intermixed with each other and the circulation is not completed. Whereas in cases of human beings and other mammals, we are having a 4-chambered heart in which the oxygenated blood and the deoxygenated blood are separated. On the other hand, what happens, 2-chambered heart is present in cases of fish. Okay, 2-chambered heart are present in cases of fish in which the blood is formed to the gills is oxygenated and thereby passes to the rest of the body. So a 2-chambered heart is present in the fishes, and a 3-chambered heart is present in cases of amphibians and reptiles, and one exception is your crocodile, in which a 4-chambered heart is present. Coming to the next topic is the force that the wall of the vessel gets due to the blood is known as your blood pressure. Okay, inside the artery during the ventricular septal is called the systolic pressure. So the pressure which the blood vessels get due to the blood is known as your blood pressure. There are 2 types of pressure actually, that is the systolic pressure and the diastolic pressure. Okay, systolic means when the heart contracts and diastolic means when the heart relaxes. Systolic pressure is 120 mm of Hg, whereas the diastolic pressure is 80 mm of Hg. So the normal blood pressure in cases of human being is 120 by 80 mmHg. That is the systolic pressure by diastolic pressure. Coming to the next topic is about your lymph. Through the pores present on the wall of the capillaries, some amount of plasma protein and the blood cell except into the interspace between the tissue, and this is known as your lymph. Suppose this is the tissues going on. Some of the materials, that is the RBC and lymphocytes, they come out of the blood and get accumulated outside the blood vessels. They are known as your lymph, and it also helped in the transportation of different materials. Suppose this is the blood vessels going on. What happens during some time, some amount of the plasma protein and blood cells escape into the interspace between the tissue, and it is known as your lymph, which also helps in the involved in the transportation. So it's all about the transportation in cases of animals. Now next, moving to the transportation in cases of plants. In plants, there are two types of tissue for the transportation. It is basically xylem for the conduction of water and phloem for the conduction of the food. At the roots, what happens? Cells are in contact with the soil actively, takes ions. This creates a difference in the concentration of the ions between the root and the soil, and therefore water moves into the root from the soil to eliminate this difference. So basically there is a ion difference created by the root cell and the plant. To fulfill that difference, what happens? There is a concentration difference. Suppose the number of sodium ions inside the soil increases and the number of sodium ion inside the roots, what happens? It decreases. There is a concentration difference between the sodium ions. So the concentration will move from higher concentration to a lower concentration. Okay, by this mechanism, the water and other minerals, it moves from the soil to the root to eliminate this difference. Okay, now movement of water during transpiration in a tree. What do you mean by transpiration? Transpiration means loss of water from the aerial part of the plant, that is above the ground is known as your aerial part. So the loss of water from the aerial part of the plant is known as your transpiration. The stomata that are present on the surface of the leaf, which creates a suction pressure and water moves upward. Okay, so when the water moves upward and it is lost through the stomata, a suction pressure is generated. To fulfill this suction pressure, what happens? The water moves upward and the process continues, and the process of transpiration also goes on. So basically transportation of water is done by the xylem tissue, which is present in the plants, which helps in the conduction of water and minerals. And the process of transpiration, it goes by the stomata, where the water is lost and the suction pressure is generated, and to fulfill that water loss, what happens? Water is absorbed from the soil by simple mechanism. Now food materials like the sucrose is transported into the phloem tissue using energy. This increases the osmotic concentration of the tissue, causing the water move into it. Inside the phloem tissue, what happens when there is a presence of sucrose? Its osmotic pressure increases. As a result, water from the surrounding tissue is get into the phloem, and the food material is transported all over the body or all over the plant body. And this is our last topic of the life processes, that is the excretion, and it is the structure of the excretory system of the human beings. Excretion in the human being includes a pair of kidney, a pair of ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. So here is the pair of kidney. These two are the pair of kidney present over here. This is the left side kidney. Okay, it is the ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. So these are the things that are present in the cases of our excretory system, that is a pair of kidney, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. Urine is produced inside the kidney. So the urine or the waste nitrogenous material, it is produced inside the kidney, which then moves to the urinary bladder through the ureter, and it is excreted out through the urethra. Okay. So the kidney passes to the ureter into the urinary bladder, where it is stored for some times and relieved to the urethra. Nitrogenous waste such as urea or the uric acid are removed from the blood in the kidney. So the nitrogenous waste which is present in the kidney, that is that happens by the purification of the blood. That is, our kidney purifies 180 liter of blood per day. Okay, so purification occurs and nitrogenous waste are generated here, and the nitrogenous waste are transported through the ureter into the urinary bladder, then it moves out of our body through the urethra. It is all about your excretory system. So here is the structure of the nephron, okay, which is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. The structural and functional unit of the kidney are known as the nephron. Okay, so purification basically occurs in the kidney, so it is the structural and functional unit of the kidney. And the kidney is associated with a cup shaped end of a coiled tube known as your Bowman's capsule. This is your Bowman's capsule, this portion. It is given in your NCERT book also, this diagram. Okay, it is known as your Bowman's capsule that collects the filtrate. Some of the filtrate of the initial filtrate such as the glucose, amino acid, salt are selectively reabsorbed as the urine flows through the tube. So as the urine flows through the tube, that is through those tubes, when the urine start flowing, it comes from this side, and when it started moving through the tube, purification or the selective reabsorption takes place. Okay, during the process of filtration, what happens? The essential elements or the minerals, that is the sodium, that is the sodium, amino acid and glucose, okay, all those things are selectively reabsorbed, and the waste material, that is the nitrogenous waste, are collected in the collecting duct. Okay, so here you can see the thing that the collect the filter, some of the initial filtrates such as the glucose, amino acids, salts are selectively reabsorbed. As these are essential for our body, it is selectively reabsorbed, and the nitrogenous waste is collected in the collecting duct. It is the collecting duct, and the nitrogenous waste, it is collected. As the urine will move down, all the essential elements will be reabsorbed in our different region of the nephrons. Okay, these are the different regions of the nephrons in which the waste materials will be collected. So by this mechanism, what happens? The nitrogenous waste are removed from our body. Finally, it is collected in the collecting tube and it is excreted out through the urethra. And our last topic is about the excretion in the plants. So many plant waste products are stored in the cellular vacuoles. In cases of plants, maximum of the waste materials are stored in the vacuoles. Waste product may be stored in the leaf that may fall off, okay, or it is stored as resins in the old xylem, and in some cases LT, it is also given out as cases of your gum and all those things. And in some plants also the excrete some of the waste product into the soil around them. So by this mechanism, the plant also excrete out their waste products. It's all about your topic and the whole chapter, life processes. Hope you will understand, and thank you for watching.